Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, welcome to With Jewish Youth. And I'm very happy to have you with us tonight on tonight's show because we have some young ladies with us, and they have a beautiful story to tell us. They're going to tell us not philosophy, but accomplishments, the work that they are doing, planning to do, are involved in doing, and I think it's going to be a great inspirational evening for all of us. I suppose many of you know that just before the holiday of Rosh Hashanah, the Lubavitcher Rabbi, Rabbi Schneerson, came out with a very, very big proclamation calling upon all the young ladies, beginning with the age of 3, in fact, to light the Shabbos candles. And he brought out the significance of this to bring light into the world, to chase the darkness away, the moral darkness, the spiritual darkness, and every other, including the physical darkness that has surrounded us so terribly in the past year. And so everybody got to work right away on it, and everybody got involved, some more than others. But it was really a very startling experience, and I must tell you that I'm very flattered and honored that this campaign went across with such tremendous success throughout the entire world, not only here in New York City, not only in the United States, but wherever there is contact to Jews throughout the world. People have been speaking and people have been working, and Yiddish Techtalach are lighting the Shabbos and Yontif candles. So I've been telling you about it myself, but I think it's interesting to hear what some of our girls have to tell us about this. So I invited tonight Chaya Leet of Oak Park, Michigan, who is presently teaching at Beis Rivka. I've also invited alongside of her Malka Bronstein from Forest Hills, who is a teacher in Beis Rivka and at the same time also part of Machon Chana. And I invited Devorah Wasserman, also from Oak Park, Michigan, who teaches in Beis Rivka and is in charge, in fact, for this mitzvah, for this project of Hadlokas Haneres, of lighting of candles, and also teaches in Machon Chana. So young ladies, welcome to With Jewish Youth. It's indeed a pleasure to have you with us here tonight, and I know that we're going to have a very interesting conversation, and there's going to be some really terrific things to talk about. So let's begin by finding out exactly what this campaign is all about, and to what extent has it been carried, and of course, with it goes all the excitement. And I believe that Chaya Leet, you ought to start off tonight. Tell our people, our audience, what's being done. Perhaps others would like to become involved, and perhaps others will have a lot to learn from you. And then I think we'll have other things to tell them before we sign off. So let's go, Chaya.
I think one of the first things that we need to say is, or talk about, is our excitement. When you're told that through you, as a Jewish girl or as a Jewish woman, can bring light not only into your home, not only into your neighborhood, but into the entire world, that's a pretty big thing to be excited about. We have many different ways of bringing this message and this light to other people. We have, I think on order now, or in our offices, 5,000 candlesticks just here in New York City to be distributed. We have phone committees to call as many Jewish schools as possible to reach their girls and stress to them the importance of lighting Shabbos and Yom Tov candles. The tanks that have been spoken about on this program have also been equipped with Shabbos kits, candles, and the appropriate blessing to be said, as well as each girl taking this message to her own personal context, not only her friends, her relatives, her neighbors, but even in the street, on a subway, on a bus, whoever you may meet, the message of Shabbos candles must and has been getting to the public.
Okay, it sounds great. The one thing I would like to know is what media do you use in making the contact? Is it the telephone or the personal? Do you ring doorbells? Do you call schools? Do you go out to the college campus? Devorah, let's see now. Malka, would you want to talk about this? Okay, Malka, let me get this answer from you.
Well, what I personally did as far as media, I took my own self, my own body, my 2 feet and my mouth, and I flew up to Buffalo University. I was called there by Rabbi Garari, the director of the Chabad house there. And he, of course, along with many other people who are so excited about this campaign, asked me to come up and do what I could. And so what I did was re-enter the life and the lifestyle of a college student. And this was quite an experience for myself, being that I was just in Buffalo for the last 3 years on that campus as a student. It was an emotional experience to go back and to walk through the same halls that I used to walk before I became from, because this was the place where I did become from, and to walk through and to see again all the sights and all the unpleasant sights, let's say, that I saw once I was there again. What happened was we set up, I and another girl, Malka Bronstein, set up a table in the Union. We made a mock Shabbos. We took 2 candlesticks and we lit 2 candles. We brought some challah and a chali tichel, and of course a little bit of literature coming from the Chabad house. And then we went out. We had our desk set up. Next to us was Hare Krishna. A little further down the hall was the Marxist Revolutionary Campaign. A little bit further was the Hillel House. This is what Buffalo University students are confronted with when they walk into the Union. Everyone wants something from them. And so did I, and so did Bela that day. We had 2 big boxes of candles to give out, and we were determined to meet our quota, and we did. We stopped Jewish women, and there's about 8,000 Jewish students. About a third of the population of the college students at Buffalo are Jewish. So it was very easy, either by the chai that they were wearing or the Magen David, or just by their face, to pick out the Jewish women and to stop them. And I want to say the success was fantastic, and the rewards of talking to them was also fantastic. Of course, we met up with those girls who did not want to know from us. They weren't interested, and that was it. But there were girls on all different levels from there. There were girls who first stopped to listen to us and took a little interest. Some came back to us saying, well, this would be hypocrisy. I'm not religious, I don't believe in it, and it would be ridiculous for me just to light candles. And my answer to that was, how could there be hypocrisy in just a simple act of lighting a candle? You're a Jewish woman. If you don't know Hebrew, and a lot of the women did not know Hebrew, they would not know how to make the bracha. I said, simply think that at this time that you are lighting candles, that millions of other Jewish women all over the world for thousands of years have been doing the very same thing. This seemed to strike some kind of note in their soul. It didn't take on a religious significance. It was just some kind of connection with other people all over the world for thousands of years. It went very deep. Other girls were absolutely thrilled. Some girls said, oh, my mother should only know about this. She'd be so excited. Some girls kept us talking for almost a half hour, asking us more and more, what is it all about? What does lighting a candle symbolize? We also got some women liberationists, some women who wanted to know, well, why can't men do it? And of course, I tried to explain in very simple terms that as the woman brings life into this world through her body, the neshamas and physical bodies come through her, she also brings life and light into the world through the symbol of the candle and through the simple act of lighting the candle on Shabbos, before Shabbos. And as I said, the success was great. We not only stayed at the university in the Union, but at night we went to the dormitories, which is the depths of darkness that the Rebbe Shlita is talking about. The darkness that prevails in this world, one of the darkest places is college universities, and this doesn't have to be reiterated. This is a known fact, and these dormitories are co-ed. I mean, we walk down some halls actually afraid of what we might meet up with, afraid of what we might see. But we did it because we wanted to reach every single person, every single Jew there, Jewess, that we could. So we went into the dormitories. We stayed up till all hours at night, arguing with some girls and getting very nice results from others. So it was quite an experience. It was very, very little, though, compared to the potential of what can be done. The sources, the resources of one person talking to another is incredible. This personal contact is what is needed. So as I said, it was one of a few great experiences in my lifetime to be able to contribute whatever I could, but it was relatively nothing compared to the potential of what can be done in this campaign.
Malka, you almost inspired me to the effect I want to light a candle already. Just tell me one thing. How long did you spend on the Buffalo University campus?
I was there for a week. I came on a Sunday right before Simchas Torah, and I stayed till right after Shabbos Bereshis. I was there for a full week.
And did you have an opportunity to see some of these girls actually light the Shabbos candles?
Unfortunately not. The students all live either in dormitories or in private apartments. And anyone who would come for a Shabbos to either of the two Chabad houses there would first light at their home and then walk to shul. So unfortunately, I could only pray at the time that I was benching that the other girls that we had given out, we gave out 2 full boxes of the large boxes of candles. We only prayed that they kept their word and lit it with us at that time.
Well, at this point, since I'm an American, I stick up for my Americans, and I can tell you, any Jewish kid who told you she's going to light candles, she did it. They are very honest, and if they weren't going to do it, they would have told you. And you're an American young lady, just the same as I am, and so I'm sure you really just said that because you have good prayers in your heart. So God tell them. Tell me, Chaya, what could you tell us about some of your results or experiences that you have had? I think that these things, ladies and gentlemen, speak more than philosophy. I think it's very important for us to get the feedback as how do people respond to these kind of things. You know, only a Rebbe, I think, like the Lubavitcher Rebbe, would really have the foresight and the ingenious to understand how to proclaim these kind of campaigns. He's been extremely successful, thank God, in the campaign for Tefillin and for the libraries, the mezuzahs, the tzedakah, and so on, and the study of Torah. Thank God, throughout the world, they're hopping. It's a new outlook on life, and the priorities have changed, and I think that the values have changed to a great deal. And so, while we can stand and lecture and sermonize and speak, which is usually the job of the rabbi, I don't think that's the most significant thing. I think it's what's happening and what's being done. And these young ladies who are going out and doing this job with mesiras nefesh, actually, with great self-sacrifice. If I don't want to use such a sharp term, I would at least say with a tremendous amount of sincerity and dedication. I think this is what accomplishes it brings the results. I think this is what really hits the spot in the heart of the people to whom they speak, and I think this is what gives us the results. Chaya Leet, I'm sorry I grabbed a couple of minutes for myself, but let me hear some of your experiences.
Besides just working with college-age youth, an interesting thing happened around Rosh Hashanah time. Many of our girls were spread throughout the world this summer, being counselors in various camps, in a network of international camps. One such camp is in Cleveland, Ohio, and I heard a beautiful story from there. When the Rebbe proclaimed this mitzvah, this campaign rather, to spread the idea, the mitzvah of lighting Shabbos candles as far as possible, one of the counselors that had been in camp in Cleveland decided that she had to do something with her children, being as she had been working with them an entire summer. She felt she just couldn't end just because it's fall. She got permission from the local rabbis in Cleveland to start a telephone campaign whereby each of the counselors called their campers long distance and asked them for the coming holidays and for Shabbos throughout the year to light candles. Now, some of the girls were afraid that the parents would be a little negative about this. Can you imagine a counselor interested in my child's personal life after the camp season is over? But surprisingly enough, the parents were overjoyed that a girl who had known her daughter for a period of, let's say, 8 weeks was still concerned in September, in October, with their daughter's Jewish education. And the results, again, were overwhelming. The telephone company, I'm sure, did good business from it, but the mitzvah was spread even farther.
Chaya, that makes me feel good again. And while you brought this up, let me put a plug in for Camp Amuna. I want you to know that we had a couple of young ladies come in here, and they took the full enrollment sheet of all the kids of camp, and they went through those who are not students yet of yeshivas, called each and every one of them, and we permitted them to make even long-distance telephone calls. And thank God, as you said, that's exactly the way it happened. They were totally overwhelmed to get this kind of a call. Usually they get a call to pay a bill or to give money or charity. To get a call to do a mitzvah, this is not the common thing. What do you want to say, Chaya?
Malka spoke a little bit of the competition they found in Buffalo. I was sitting on the train a few weeks ago. I happened to have one of the Shabbos kits in my purse. This is a package of 2 candles along with the appropriate blessing and the calendar of the proper time in which to light the candles. And a girl sat down next to me. She looked Jewish, and I thought I'd take a risk. I said, "Excuse me, are you Jewish?" And of course she gave me a strange look like, what's it your business? She said, "I'll tell you, that's a difficult question to answer." I thought, come on now, this girl is obviously Jewish, and she was getting off at the next stop. I gave her the Shabbos packet, and I said, "Listen, when you figure out if you're Jewish or not, and when you get around to the answer yes, and when you decide that you want to do something about it, here are the Shabbos candles. Light them." I think Devorah also has a similar experience. Strange things can happen in train stations.
Devorah, go right ahead.
Actually, this happened on my way out of the train station as I was coming up the stairs. In the newsstand there on 32nd Street, there was an elderly lady rather, in the stand taking care of it, and she looked Jewish, and I couldn't stand walking by her without asking her. I asked her, and she gave me not only a strange look, but a very long pause, and then she said, "Yes, why?" I said, "Well, we're working for a campaign and to strengthen the mitzvah of lighting candles," which was followed by an even longer pause. And then she looked at me and she said, "I'm a grandmother and I never lit candles in my life." And that followed with a conversation for about an hour. A conversation that included every single mitzvah we could think of, why it came about, what it was for, how could she do it, how could she check it, how could she spread it to those in her family who are becoming baptized because they never had any education themselves. At the end, after she was crying, I was crying, she said, "I promise you one thing, I'll light those candles. And I know you've told me that you're especially aiming at the youth, that they should teach their parents." She said, "Well, this old lady is a pretty young little child, but she'll try and teach her family. She really will." And since Rabbi Hecht brought in a plug before for Camp Amuna, I'd also like to bring in a plug for something that we're working for in school in Beis Rivka. The 11th grade has a particular project called the Project of Lighting Candles. Every single grade has its own project, and the 11th grade merited to have this one. And at any time of the day, you could find them making telephone calls, contacting Talmud Torahs, finding out where they could get copies of things printed, collating newspapers, collating literature, traveling to all ends of New York City, trying to reach a class, a school, or even one Jewish person with this mitzvah of Neiros.
Thank you so much. You almost had me crying. I'm glad you stopped, because if you keep on going a little bit further, you would have finished me off for tonight, and I couldn't have finished this program. And that's not something that I would like to do at this time, because the more I talk to you young ladies, the more inspired I become myself, and the more excited I am about tonight's program, as I'm sure everybody in our audience is. Chaya Leet, I think you had a very interesting experience that you began to talk about in the University of Maryland, but we didn't have time enough to really go into it. So you may as well tell it to my radio audience, not only to me.
Okay. A group of girls and women were invited this past Shabbos down to the University of Maryland to expose some of the women students there, not only to Lubavitcher Hasidim and the way of life, but also to the mitzvahs and to God and Torah. I want to share with you one of the sadder experiences of the weekend. I was speaking to a 25-year-old student whose name was Wanda, and I only wish that she was listening now to what I have to say. Wanda is a Buddhist at the moment. She has been into Buddhism for 3 years, and she feels that this is her thing in life. I spoke to her at great length, and I pleaded with her to do something Jewish. How could she say that another religion was her way of life when she didn't even know the beauty that was in her own backyard? And we talked and we argued and we discussed. We danced during the Shabbos. We talked about mitzvahs. We sang a little bit. In the end, Saturday night, about 1 o'clock in the morning, I said, listen, Wanda, something practical must come out of this. The philosophy is nice, the opinions are nice, something practical. And with tears in my eyes, I begged her to take on one mitzvah. Please light Shabbos candles. She sat down and she thought a minute, and then she took my hand, and with tears in her eyes, she said, Chaya, I'll try. I think this is a little bit of the beauty of the mitzvah of Shabbos candles and what we're trying to do. The single stories sometimes are better than the massive stories, and when we can reach one person or one woman on a train or in a bus station, one taxi driver who promises he'll tell his wife about it, then I think we have accomplished something great, and we have helped in turning on more lights in the world.
You bet. You bet your sweet life you've been lucky in turning on more lights, and keep it up. Because the more lights we get, the less darkness we'll have around us. Tell me, Malka, we must have been getting some feedbacks from people who evidently encountered some of our so-called missionaries who went out to try to bring people closer to Judaism. The Rabbi calls them Peace Corps, because the Rabbi is the kind of a man who believes in doing everything in a very lovable and a very peaceful and very devoted way. He doesn't believe in shouting or giving someone the works, so to speak, but doing it in a very kindly manner. And so I suppose we must have been getting some feedback. I know I've been getting an awful lot of mail here, because what I call Operation Shabbos Candles, where I get little kids writing into me, they want 2 dimes from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, which he promised, and those dimes are going out. So I'm sure you too must have had some kind of experience with these feedbacks, either by phone or by mail. Tell us about it.
Surely. Yes, I agree. The Rabbi Baruch Hashem really knows what he's doing. It seems that one light leads to another. One Erev Shabbos, I was staying by Esther Sternberg, which I do habitually. I come in to Crown Heights every Shabbos. And it was Erev Shabbos about an hour before the time to light candles, and there was a telephone call. It seems that Esther's number was given on the paraphernalia, one of the literature sheets that was given out, and her number was there for any questions that might come up. Her number was available. So I happened to answer the phone, and I speak to a woman who, of course, I never met before and who doesn't know me, but she started asking me certain questions. She told me that she works in Manhattan, and she happened to walk out of her office one day, and she met on the street some missionaries, if that's what you would like to call them, missionaries who were determined to give her information and a little Shabbos Hecht kit, and try to explain to her a little bit of what to do and try to help her start doing the mitzvah of lighting candles. Well, it seemed that she was very, very affected by this meeting with them. She was very excited that such a thing could take place on the streets of Manhattan, and that Shabbos she decided she was going to light candles. So she was asking me certain questions. When should I say the bracha? Should I say it before I light the candles or after? And she was so interested. Her sincerity was so great. I couldn't get off the phone with her. She asked me questions after questions. She wasn't satisfied to stop at lighting candles. This was a little bit of an in. The door had opened for her. She now started realizing the significance of being a Jewish woman, and she wouldn't let go of me. She told me she was from a community in Queens where the UN, people from all over the world, those who were ambassadors in the UN, were living in this project, a very intellectual place to live, a very fine part of Queens. But something was missing in her life. She had come to a certain maturity spiritually and intellectually where she needed something else in her life. Her children were grown. Some of them were my age and older. And it seemed also that she didn't know exactly what path she had led them on. So anyway, as I said, we were on the phone for about a half hour till finally it was getting very close to time to light candles, and we had to cut our conversation short, but she was overwhelmed. And she didn't stop at that. I gave her my number in Queens, and right after, on Sunday, following that Shabbos, she called me again, and she said that her Shabbos enlightened her. She had never experienced anything like it. She was very excited, and she wanted to bring it to her children, which she had not done before. I found out later that both her daughters had married out of the Jewish religion, which I'm sorry to hear, but yet she was coming back even stronger, and she was determined to bring it to her children so her grandchildren should have a share in the heritage of the Jewish people.
Thank you so much. I remember I got one of the letters, which was very cute. This lady heard me on one of my broadcasts in which I spoke about the narrows of Shabbos, and she writes me that she remembers the beauty of her mother's lighting of the candle, but she can only remember two things: Devorah Chato, and the end was Shel Shabbos. But what comes in between, she didn't know, so she asked me if I would be good enough to fill in the words that go between Devorah Chato and Shel Shabbos, and so on, which of course we did right away. Let's see. Let's get. We're getting very, very close to signing off time. Let's see, Devorah, tell me one thing. How could one become involved in this project?
Besides lighting candles, which is the real involvement in the project, one can call Mrs. Sternberg at 774-1550. Anyone can call Mrs. Sternberg if they want to get these kits to pass out to their friends. Talmud Torahs can contact us. We'll be more than happy to send down some of our girls or some of our people in general to speak about this, to demonstrate, to bring it closer, to make sure that this fact is a fact by every single Jewish woman and girl.
Chaya Leet, thank you very much, by the way. Chaya Leet, just give me a closing message. Since I started the program with you, I'm closing the program with you, and I'll have just a few words before signing off.
Instead of talking about women and Jewish girls, I would like to say you women who are listening, you girls who are listening, take a match Friday night, take a candle, light it at the appropriate time, at least 18 minutes before sunset. Make the bracha and bring into your home, your house, and yourself the beauty of Shabbos, the peace of Shabbos, and the joy that the Shabbos brings. It's your privilege, it's your right, and through you, through each and every one of us, Jewish women and Jewish girls, we can bring a little more light into the dark world, and light up the world now, today, this Friday night.
Thank you so much, girls. It was a pleasure to have you. And once again, Chaya Leet, teacher at Beis Rivka, thank you for being with us. Malka Bronstein from Forest Hills, teacher in Beis Rivka and also part of Machon Chana. And Devorah Wasserman of Oak Park, Michigan, again, teacher in Beis Rivka, in charge of the project of Shabbos candle lighting, and also a teacher in Machon Chana. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard tonight a most fascinating, a most interesting program on the subject of lighting Shabbos candles. The young ladies that you've listened to tonight are young ladies who are involved in this business. I call it a business because they put more life and soul to it than a man puts into his business. They had no repayment for this other than the fact that they get the satisfaction knowing that they have accomplished with other young ladies to be able to light the Shabbos candles, young and old alike. Kinderlach, God bless you for your wonderful work. Have great success in the future. And you, my dear friends, you have dear friends of my radio audience, until tomorrow night at the same time, you could write or call tomorrow to this office if we have any questions, 778-4600. You know our address is 824 Eastern Parkway, Brooklyn, New York. Until tomorrow night at the same time, may God bless you all.